Good evening, Adrian. How are you?
Very fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And so we will try to start. So I can't see the president somewhere around, so I will try to just welcome everybody to this UNI-THSOSA boot camp, which is one of the activities for the 17th AGM of our great alma mater, DSC Technical High School. And the topic for this evening is in search of excellence, getting your priorities right. So we are in a world today that is very, very competitive, and we need to get it right the first time. So we have a guest speaker that is going to talk to us about this topic, and a number of our alma mater graduates that are part of the panel. So I will take this opportunity to introduce the guest speaker and the panelists, and then we will dive straight into the cake. So permit me, it is with great honor and sense of satisfaction that I introduce our guest speaker for today, who is our first and special professor, the first THS professor, the person of Professor Adrian Oshioname Eberemu. So Oshioname is a graduate of DSC Technical High School from the 1990 set. So today he's a professor of civil engineering with specialization in geotechnical and geoenvironmental engineering in Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria. So Oshioname had his first degree from FUTO in 1997 and a PhD and MSc from Ahmadu Bello University in 2008 PhD and 2003 Masters and 2008 his PhD. Oshioname is external examiner to a couple of universities in the country, University of Maiduguri, University of Yola, Kano State University, Bayero University in Kano, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, and Nnamdi Azikiwe University, and even Covenant University down south. So he's not only in the north, he's also in the south and also in the west. So he's currently an academic researcher and coordinator with the West African Center of Excellence for New Pedagogic in Engineering Education in Ahmadu Bello University, and their challenge basically is to continue to improve engineering study at both master's and PhD level in the West African sub-region. Oshioname is a member of COREN, a registered engineer, a member of Society of Nigerian Engineers, and also a member of American Society of Civil Engineers, a member of...
Hello, Austin.
Yes?
For the moderators, there was an instruction that you introduce the speaker name, set, where he works, specialization. I will end it there. So no too much, because the main thing is the presentation and the question and answer section. So we should be brief. Name, specialization, no need to read.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
The profiles have been there on the website. People will have read it.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So I will just introduce the other guests panelists, and then we will take the main speech for the day. So the other that will be in the discussion this evening is Emmanuel Okugbaye. Emmanuel Okugbaye graduated from BSc Technical High School in 1990. Studied petroleum engineering, so he's in petroleum engineering, and he's petroleum engineering finished, right? Then the other panelist this evening is Mrs. Lola Ekugo, who is a graduate of THS from 1999 set, and he's into IT innovation, currently working with Union Bank in Nigeria. And the third panelist for today is Kenneth Erikume, a graduate of THS 1998 set, and is read biological sciences from and he's currently working as a consultant with PwC Nigeria. So without further delay, wish to welcome Professor Oshioname to give us the message for this afternoon or this evening. Oshioname, you want me to present, or you want me to share the slides from here?
Okay, you can share the slides. You can share the slide from there.
Okay, let me do that.
Or let me try it from here. Let me try it from here so I can have control over it.
Yes, I think the right has been taken
Have
from.
issue then.
I was calling up before then.
Oh, the right has been taken.
Yeah, so it's only the host that can do that.
Okay.
Ego, if you can hear us, please can you mute your mic?
Sorry, I just did. Sorry.
Yeah, who is got the right?
I think anyone can share. I can share from here, so I think you
Try to share. I don't think everyone can share. Try, let's see, because it doesn't give me the right to share.
Who's disabled?
Please.
Omanjua, do you have the right to share?
No, let me get on with Joshua. That's why
Not available.
I think you can. Someone can actually go claim host role. Go to them and do claim host role. Somebody can actually claim the host role because there's no existing host in the platform right now.
Okay. So it's asking for an activation key.
You're right. I tried to share as well, and I can't.
I will get it sorted out in a minute.
Okay.
You can just maybe be doing an introduction.
It's like the host is on. We don't have a host.
The host is now active, so I don't know why.
Who's the host?
Okay, Austin.
Yeah.
He said once you click on share button, you will be able to share.
Once I
Click on share button that you're able to share.
no, it's still telling me only the host can share.
He said only the host can share.
Yeah.
The person with the ID UNI-THSOSA 2020 AGM is currently the host. The camera is on, the nose mask will not let me identify who it is. That person should please give somebody the hosting right so they can share.
That's
Ohwo.
Ohwo,
yeah.
please, can you assist us with the hosting right?
Yeah.
So that somebody can share. Ohwo. Hello, Ohwo. Can you unmute your mic so that we can discuss?
Can you send me a personal message? He's on the move.
Hello?
Austin, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I've discussed with Ohwo, so we are unable to share it now.
Just send the message that you're the host now.
Austin,
Yeah, Austin, you're not the host. Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
But can you see the slide?
No, it's not showing. It was showing before.
So can you see the slide now?
Can you make it full screen? No, no, it's F5. Why don't you use F5 or slideshow? Okay.
Please, can we mute everybody? Please.
Okay.
It's better now.
Yeah, so Oshioname, you have the floor now. Sorry.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I want to welcome all of us, the president, our seniors. I saw Clement, I saw Ohwo. It's my singular honor to have this privilege to present this topic. And this topic is just a reflection of, as I saw Ohwo, as I saw Austin rather, I saw Adrian, I saw Emmanuel Okugbaye. Just remember our old days growing up in THS, when we were in the second set, the whole thing, just the whole training was centered around us trying to get the topic at the moment. So I just want us to rub our minds, like those in the university or UNI-THSOSA, to just use these few moments to think over the presentation. Now, as the title goes, in search of excellence, getting your priorities right. Now, can you help me go to the next slide? Excellence is what everyone desires. For getting there, for achieving it, takes a lot. Determination, courage, a whole lot more as we go through. But before we delve into it, I want us to just have personal reflection. Can we go to the next slide, please? Now, I want all of us to sincerely and honestly think of ourselves and just look into the future. Say, the next 5 to 10 years, what do we think of ourselves? What do you see yourself doing? Like those of us in higher institutions, just left higher institutions. Do you want to pursue a career? Do you want to start your own business as an entrepreneur? Whatever you view while picturing the future life is really what really matters to you. It's all based on our respective priorities. And if I remember the same moment many years back, while I was still in university, I took a decision, which if I flip back, I have not deviated from that decision. And it was also this unfortunate time when there were strikes. So, and if I remember putting some of those things to paper and remembering now, I always remember that moment when I did some of the things I want to talk about. Can we go to the next slide, please? Now, where are we now? Where do you want to go? Or where do you want to be in the near future? If you can answer, or if you have answers to these two questions above, where are you now? Where do you want to be, or where do you want to go to above? You can know how to work towards getting there. For many of us in the younger generation are caught up in this web. We don't know where we are now. We don't know where we want to go to. And if we can address all these things, we can strongly achieve excellence. Next slide.
Sorry. Adrian, sorry, just 1 minute. Guys, can you please just mute your phones? You don't have to have your mics on. Just mute your phone and respect the person who's talking. Thank you, Adrian. Sorry, just go ahead.
No problem, thanks. Next slide, please. Now start with this quote of Aristotle. It says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is not an act, but it's a habit. It's a way of life to many that have gotten to their peak. They had to go through it. When trying to go through it, there are certain characteristics around excellence I would like us to review. Can you go to the next slide, please? What is excellence? It's a talent or a quality which is unusually good and surpasses ordinary standards. used as a standard of performance as measured through several indicators. It could be through education, it could be through career, it could be through economy, it could be through family, it could be through social and other material things. Excellence is just a commitment to being the best and or delivering the best, producing your best in any given situation within or without a conducive environment to do so. And many of us will agree with me that us surviving and living in our country today or at the present times is not the best of environments, but we can always excel against all odds, and many have gone through that and many have been able to achieve that. So next slide. What are some of these associated qualities with excellence? The first one I want us to briefly talk about is we must know our individual talents. I want to use a rough diamond to make an illustration. Diamond has that innate property, but if it's not been polished, if it's not been cut, the beauty won't be out there, the value will not be out there. So we are at our best when we develop our natural talent and ability, and nobody can help us do that. We must be able to discover it ourselves. The next is to achieve excellence is we must invest in our respective successes. Those same talents we know, hidden strengths we know, we should be able to put in more times, believe in our dreams. We must be passionate about it. We must be motivated towards realizing that dream, which we so have within us. Then another key attribute is integrity. That's something that if you see people that have excelled in life, that's an attribute always tied to them. We should be men, we should be aligned to our words. There are some people, when they tell you my word is my honor, no matter what you say about them, no matter what you do, they want to stand by that. And integrity is something that is really missing in our society today. In the business world, in the academic world, just name it. Then we should have a strong passion. That's the fire. And what's the passion? That drive, that fire within that motivates us to action. I remember growing up, I read the biography, one of the biographies of Bill Gates. The title of the book was Hard Drive. And coincidentally, Hard Drive. And what was it trying to portray? That strong passion they had in the 70s, mid 70s, late 70s, that gave birth to Microsoft. How they could work for extra hours, have no sleep, just to succeed, just to excel in what they are doing. And many years down the line today, if we look back down the line, we realize that they had a hard drive and they were able to burn that passion to achieve their goals, even when the world didn't believe they could achieve it. So for us to excel, we must also have that strong passion. Then we should have high standards. And particularly in our own environment today, that high standard is gone, it's not there, it's at its lowest ebb at the moment. We should strive for quality. Good isn't enough. There is need to exceed our expectations and continually raise the bar of excellence. I'd like to digress there and just use a little example. My son was about 3 years back, about 2 to 3 years back, he is in primary school. He was doing well in his class, so every year, end of year, he would get a gift. So there was this year, and we never took it for granted. We never took notice of it that those gifts, little gift he gets, meant a lot to him. So that year he didn't get any gift. We as parents didn't want to push him hard. So, but coincidentally, at the end of the ceremony that year, as we're leaving, this boy started crying that he didn't get a gift. As little as he was about five years then. So it took a parent to now tell us that, please, as parents, let's go and buy him something to encourage him. And coincidentally, the next year, he was the best all-round in his class. You can see, as little as he was, he had that high standard. He wasn't comfortable that others were getting the gift and he didn't have any. Let's even look at the auto industry. Can we compare the average Lexus car? When we hear Lexus, it's a Toyota, it's from the parent company Toyota. Lexus to the average Toyota is more expensive, but the standard is much higher. If you compare Mercedes-Benz, you hear Acura, the same thing. One thing, the Rolls-Royce, you always count on high standards. We also, for us to exceed, to be excellent in our dealings, we must have this inner high standards. That good isn't enough for us. We should try to push this back continuously. Then we must be creative and innovative. We must believe in that anything is possible, and this paves way for critical thinking. We should be able to think outside the box. And the openness of not knowing all the answers allows creativity and innovation. We all remember our mobile phones, the Nokia 3310. We carry it today and put it beside the average smartphone. People thought beyond the box, have innovative minds, and they were creative. Then we must be committed. We must have that strong commitment so that during challenging times towards our dreams, our desires, with that strong commitment, it will push us and push us to go the extra mile. Then also contribution. Excellence is about contributing our best to the world. You can imagine if excellence is an attribute isn't there, what the world would be like today. And we should be able to do it, struggle to achieve that attribute so that we can make the world a much better place. Next slide, please. So pictorially or graphically, you can see some of the same attributes which I've mentioned, which I'll still mention. Excellence. To be excellent, you must be competent in anything you do. You must have good communication skills. You must be able to have good personal interrelation with people. You should have ideas. You should be properly motivated. You should be able to psych yourself to go to the extra mile. You should be inspired. You should have vision. You should have an innovative mind. And you should have a strong passion in what you believe in. Next slide, please.
Because that is a great you fashion me.
Now, also let's look at it, and if you tie it back to
okay. I want just
some of those high standard I talked about, referring to the auto industry. For excellence, reliability should not be compromised. There should be efficiency. 9/10, you should have the results you want. There should be that quality. That service you aspire to deliver should be there still. Then you should have that leadership traits. Next slide, please. Also, attitude. Too often we notice that intelligent and capable individuals are prevented from greater achievements because of their attitude. If you have the right mental attitude towards things, you will always be willing to go the extra mile. And you will imagine, if you always remember in our own educational system, you'll be told the degree is awarded to you for character and learning. That character alone, if you like know all the things in this world, if the character is wrong, it will put the person down. The person will not achieve the potential it intends to. Then humility. In all our achievements, we should be humble and be willing to persuade others to buy to our ideas. Then without action, there can be no excellence. Then we should be willing to appreciate others and the things around us. Next slide, please. Now, priorities, because for us to achieve excellence in life, we must have things, we should be able to articulate the things we want. Now, for someone who is gone through flooding, of not too long ago, I saw a picture in Bayelsa, the House of Assembly, all flooded, or parts of Kwale or Delta State that has serious flood this year. So such a person who is going through that, the priority in him should be shelter. He shouldn't be thinking of buying a car. All he will need is shelter. So in whatever we have thought of ourselves, we should be able to set our priorities and know how to go over them one by one to achieve our targeted goals. Next slide, please. Next slide. What are our priorities? We want them to be low, we want them to be high. Are we comfortable midway? Now, how do we get our priorities right? To understand what things are most important for one to do or deal with. Use the case of a flood. And priority is a concern, interest, or desire that comes before all others. Next slide. How do we get our priorities right? The first thing is we must figure out what our goals are. What do we want to be? What do you think of yourself? What attributes do you want to possess? And we must have an action plan through which we want to achieve that. So we must put all our thoughts, all the goals which we have articulated, we must be willing to put them into action and believe in ourselves and have faith towards it. Next slide. We should be able to create achievable timelines for our different actions. We must have a time scale. I want to be this in the next 5 years. Why you are working towards it? I want to be this in the next 1 year. I want to develop this attribute in me in the next 2 years. We must have an achievable timeline for our different actions. Then fundamentally in our society, we must have a mentor and be willing to be a mentee. I'll just give a simple illustration or a simple example of what it takes to have a mentor. I had a lecturer who taught me in my undergraduate studies in my 300 level. As then he already had his master's. He taught me in my 400 level and also in my 500 level before he left. Then he went for his PhD. This was far back in the middle 90s. But ironically, in life, I got to the peak of my career much earlier than him. At best today, he's just being assessed as a reader. He's an associate professor. But was assessed as a full professor as far back as 2018. And the secret around it was that I had a mentor. The mentor was willing to take me through the paths. He made curves smoother for me. And most importantly, I was willing to be a mentee. I was willing to follow. When he said, do this, I'll do. So there are many of us who have mentors, but we're not willing to be mentees. We're not willing to be mentored. So it's a very fundamental thing for us to get our priorities right. It's easier you don't fall into a pit that your mentor has gone through if only you'll be willing to be a mentee. Next slide.
Hello.
Know that all the things you need to do, you should be able to articulate today. But if you articulate them, it's easier for us to achieve them. Then we must be willing to eliminate distractions. We should stay focused. You have many things you want to do. You can't do all at the same time, but you should be able to articulate them, stay focused against all. Even if things look clumsy. Next slide. So we should starve your distractions and feed them with your focus. Next slide. Hello. Okay. We must be honest and sincere to ourselves. We should check our priorities with reality. Things are changing. How realistic are the things we've articulated? Then we should be willing to take our actions in small steps. We cannot move from point 1 to point 10. We should be able to take it one step at a time. When taking that one step at a time, we should stay focused and not get distracted. The next slide. Set your priorities right, because if you chase two rabbits, you will lose them both. Next slide. I want to ask, what are yearly plans? We should be able to articulate them. What are our lifelong plans? All these may look sketchy or confusing, but we must just prioritize them and apply the above principles, and surely we'll excel in life. But before I leave, I want to give a little quote. I just saw it yesterday from Lionel Messi. We all know him, we all appreciate him playing in Barcelona and the extra singular effort he has made or contributed to soccer in general during his time. He said, "I start early and I stay late. Day after day, year after year, it took me 17 years and 114 days to become an overnight success." We can see that that's quotation close. That's from Lionel Messi. That's the effort he had put in. So we must strive. We must not be carried away by distractions. Times are hard. Realities are looking confusing. We must believe in ourselves. We must have that high standard. I get 4/10, I'm not comfortable. I get 5/10, I'm not comfortable. Not just academically, in any task given to you, you must be willing to deliver. And over time, if we're able to cultivate this habit and all these basic attributes I've just mentioned, we sure will succeed and the future will smile at us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oshioname. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. Just kind of remind us a few things that Oshioname has talked about. Talked about excellence, what excellence means, and I try to, he said it's commitment to being the best within and without a conducive environment. I think I like those two words, within and without a conducive environment, because we are very quick at giving excuses, but he has made it clear there that your environment is not an excuse not to be excellent in what you do. And he gave us a list of attributes of people or that are associated with excellence. And I try to highlight a few of them. He said we should know our talents, know what you are good at. He's made the comment that good is not enough. If you want to be excellent, good is not enough. And he also made mention of our attitude. And he said we got our degree, that we have been found worthy in character and learning. And that the learning is not enough, the character is also very important. He talked about action. We cannot be excellent if we just keep talking, we need to act. And he said something also about appreciating others, because the journey is tough, others will help us along the way. We need to be appreciative of them. That is how we can excel in what we do. And in trying to excel, we need to set our priorities right. And he said priority is our commitment to what comes first in our life. And we have to create achievable timeline for our priorities. When we set our goals, we have to get an achievable timeline. We cannot go from step 1 to step 10. We have to take little steps. So thank you very much once again for a very interesting topic. I know there are some questions that will be coming already, but I would like to get the panelists to kind of contribute to the topic, and then we will take questions at the end. So I would like to get the discussion rolling by bringing the lady and the panelists, Madame Lola. So Prof talked about distraction and about staying focused. So, and this is one point that prevents us from achieving excellence if we are distracted. And this is even very important today in our present world of social media, peer pressure. So how does one really try to stay focused and get your priorities right in our current environment? Lola.
So good evening, everyone. Once again, I'm so happy to be here. I see some familiar people, Tega, Shay Dawood. Nice to be here. Some of you may know my mother, Mrs. Aworanti, the chemistry teacher. She sent her regards. So hello, everyone. So the question, I think, thank you so much for the presentation earlier by Adrian. I think it's really spot on. Now, speaking to the question around distractions, just as you said, Austin, nowadays, I think before distractions were more physical, like if you see people that would distract you maybe in person, but now social media will not allow you rest in the sense that you can, in fact, right in your bed, you are distracted already by either even just spending your too much time there or the things that happen there. So I think for me, I wanted to share some experiences very quickly and just tell you how I've worked through some of these things personally. So there are two life moments for me that are very important to my career and where I am today. One is my first real job, so how I got that. Now, I started off, obviously after school, THS, I started University of Lagos. I started a pre-degree. I actually wanted to study medicine. So, I started pre-degree medicine. I didn't get medicine actually. They gave me cell biology and genetics. So I started my first year in University of Lagos, and then I started my second year. And then we realized that even my parents weren't quite happy. So they decided that maybe I should go abroad and it's better for me. So when I went abroad, I actually also started through a foundation course. I did start my first year. So what I'm essentially taking you on is on a journey that I first started in Nigeria, school, pre-degree, first year, second year, plus all the strikes. Then I went to the UK. I started off with a foundation there. When I arrived for that foundation in the UK, I thought I really wanted to get a job in the UK. That was my core focus right from arriving there. I wanted a job. So I had to find out what would allow me to get a job. So I realized, okay, for you to get a job in the UK, you needed experience and you needed to do well. You needed to be experienced for your shoes. So I quickly got that on, and I realized that even to get a job in McDonald's, needed experience. Ask me, sorry. Sorry, can we mute? Anyone? So I realized that I needed experience even if it's to get a job in a fast food restaurant. So I decided that I was going to do a placement, which meant I take a year out of school. So that means I would have done foundation first year.
Sorry, Lola. Sorry, Lola. 1 minute. Who is TOF Nation? TOF Nation. Can you kindly mute your phone, please? Thank you, Lola. Please go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So I realized, okay, I needed to do this placement, which meant me spending even a longer time in school. All my friends had already graduated, the ones I started pre-degree with. Coming there to make that kind of call that I needed a placement because I wanted a job. People were like, oh, but you've already spent too long in school. Why don't you just quickly graduate and get a job, try and get a job, everything will be fine. But I knew what I wanted. And I knew that everybody's journey is different. Everybody's on their own journey. So I just needed to focus and get this job that I wanted. And I already knew the things that would help me get that job. So I did all that. And lo and behold, even before I finished my final year, I already had a job. That's one. Two is even when it came to how to advance my career, because I'd already gotten to a point where I was doing well, but I knew that I wanted to advance my career. By that time, I'd already moved back to Nigeria with my husband, and so we were already settled there, and I realized that, see, I really needed to advance my career, and I needed to do it quickly, but how? I obviously had to do research and realize that for my own specific situation, for everybody is different, an MBA was going to help me. So that meant I needed to move back to the UK and do that MBA. I was already settled. In terms of peer pressure, family, some people will say, actually, you're okay, you're doing fine with your career. Like, do you really need to go and do this MBA now? But for me, I really felt that it was something I needed to do. And I realized one thing that for me has been very important is timing. Timing is so critical. Like, there is a time for everything. Now, I started this MBA, and to be honest, it was one of the most difficult things I ever did in my life because I was working and I was also doing an MBA at the same time. And honestly, it was so hard. So many times I asked myself, who even sent me to do this MBA? Like, you were okay before, truly, as everyone said, who sent me? In fact, that was my key, who sent me? But I had to encourage myself. In fact, people felt I was even a bit antisocial because I didn't have time. I didn't have time to hang out. You see social media, people are going for weddings, so many things that happen. Nigeria can be so happy, such a happening place. Or even before I moved, because I went to UK and I came back halfway. Honestly, it was really tough. But I had to just tell myself that this is not forever. There's a time for everything. It's the time for me to do my MBA now. Let me do it and get it out of the way. And then I'll have time perhaps for other things. So for me, those are two life-changing experiences for me that have helped me propel my career and my life in ways that you cannot imagine. Now, I want to just quickly walk through very quickly on just taking the key points out of these experiences for me and what it taught me as a person, and maybe even others may see that as well. For me, one of the things is that it's important to set your priorities right. And if that's even where it starts. And I think Adrian also mentioned that setting your priorities right from the first place, you have to even know what those things are, what is important to you. You need to do your research to know, okay, this is important to me. How do I get there? What do I do to get there? Because one thing just setting it, but not knowing how you get there. So those are, I guess, your goals and timings and all of that. And then getting that timing right, because life is in phases. I believe that it's never too late, but it's good to heed. There'll be a time when you will see those opportunities open up, or you will feel so strongly about something. Don't worry about what anybody says. People will say, oh, no, you shouldn't be doing this. This is a bad idea now. If you feel determined about it and you can see the value that you expect to get from it, honestly, I would just say, listen, but you don't need to heed to what is being said because everybody is on their own journey. So that for me is key point number one. Two is how you spend your time is so, so important. See, one thing I found is that if you sleep all day, if you work all day, the 24 hours will still pass.
It's now 7 p.m.
The most successful people in the world have the same amount of time as us. Now, one thing for me that helped me, I would say, and I guess my siblings as well, is, my mother was a teacher and she was such a disciplinarian, honestly. I mean, even when we were on holiday, she'd be like, 5 o'clock, you should be up. Either you're doing chores or she sends you to go and do something. Like, she felt that you need to train yourself to be disciplined. Like, you need to know that you need to wake up and there are things to be done. That for me has been is something that I've obviously grown through and realized that, see, time will go. If I wake up at 10 a.m., time has gone. I wake up at 5, time has gone. So it's so important how you choose to spend that time. I think that's point number 2. 3 is focus. Everybody is on their own journey, and I think that sometimes social media makes it so hard for us. Like, you're just sitting in your house, you're looking at somebody, they've made it, they have done, you know, you have, maybe you might even feel you've not done anything. These guys have overtaken you. Sometimes the truth is, social media is not even a true reflection of what's happening out there. That's number one. And two, sometimes beyond social media, there's so much work that has gone into the success of that person. If they really are successful, that you cannot actually see on social media. They're not writing, I didn't sleep at all for 3 nights. I was trying to figure this out or something. Like when I was doing my MBA, I would have a meeting in Nigeria and here in my office at 8:15. And I had a class in London on Saturday, Sunday. I'll leave London on Sunday night, arrive at the airport, go straight to my office, shower, and be ready for my 8 o'clock meeting on Monday. And nobody would even know that I had even put in any of this work at all. I'm on social media, it looks like I've had the time of my life, you know? So there's a lot, there could be work that goes on there as well that we cannot see. So let's just focus on your own journey and focus on your own time. The last...
Lola, I think I will have to butt in here. I will come back to you. Let me take Emmanuel. So thank you very much, Lola. I think you said something there that everybody is in their own journey and it's never too late to start. I keep that and then I will come back to you. So I would like to bring Emmanuel on. So one thing that Prof mentioned during his presentation was passion, internal drive, and he talked about a book written by Bill Gates about hard drive. So one thing that is really challenging today for a lot of people is how do you generate this internal passion when everybody, you do anything today and they tell you, well done. You get 2/5, they tell you, well done, they give you sweet. And how do you now get excellence? How do you generate this passion to say, okay, good is not good enough?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Very good. Good evening, everyone. I'm really glad to giving the opportunity to participate in this panel discussion. I want to thank the President and the Executive Committee. And I'm really pleased that we've been able to keep the spirit going and keep our ethos as a community, seeing the footprint we've generated around the world. I think it's just a reflection of where we all came from, of our background, which has been said by the values and principles we got from the great school we attended. It's a very good question, but before I get into it, I did say in the chat that Dr. Oshioname has set the foundation for today's discussion. So thank you, Dr. Oshioname. You've actually laid a fantastic foundation on which the rest of us are going to build upon. I don't think we're going to be saying anything very new. I think we're going to be re-emphasizing and reinforcing those nuggets, which the doctor has mentioned. But to the question, how do we generate internal drive to keep us going amidst the challenges? And I will go back to one of the things that Dr. Oshioname said, say it in a different way. And it's about you need to have the end in sight before you start. You've got to know where you want to get to. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be fully clear, but have a picture of where you want to get to. And Lola mentioned that. She said when she got back to the UK and to Nigeria, her career was going well. She said she was thinking about how to improve her career. That's the end in sight. Okay, so whatever you're doing, whatever you do, you need to be thinking, and Dr. Oshioname put it as, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? It's a way of visualizing, thinking about where you want to be. Have a picture of it. It's really important. Now, once you set the end in sight, you have some vision, some clear idea of where you want to be in the long run, in the long term. It's then important to come back to today. You need to come back to today. Don't always live in the future. And in today, you then need to say, what can I do today? The small steps. What small step can I do today? You can't achieve it all in one day. I'll give you a very simple example and I'll make it very brief. So when we go into THS, the first year in THS, that was where I got, and I told us in the story, I got to understand the concept of the honors list, which most of you can relate.
I agree to man.
And the average score. So at the end of first term, my average was 60 something. I was anywhere close to the honors list, or even in the
I think it works today. I work from home.
I'm going to pause for Amu to mute if you can, please.
Sorry, I'm going to mute everybody. Emmanuel, you can now unmute yourself to speak, right?
Okay.
Meeting settings, mute everyone.
Thanks, man. Very well, thanks.
Mute.
Operational. Operation.
Amu, are you there? You can.
Okay, so unmute yourself now, I think.
I think you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Good. Right. So, very quick story. Going into the first term, I had my average was in the 60s.
Ah, thank God, this is so hot.
Concept of those advanced, and I felt I'd like to be part of these guys. You know, the likes of Austin and Derek, and those were the guys in my set. So cool. More so, you don't get to do labor, so you don't cut grass. That was a motivation for me, right? So, and to cut a long story short, that was my end game. It took me 3 years to get there. It was not until the 3rd year of secondary school that I got above 75%. But the first step for me was I needed to get above 60. There, when I got 70%, I needed to get 75. So those were the baby steps I was setting. So you got to set steps, short-term steps that you can actually achieve, things that you can do. Set those steps and achieve them. Now, move on very quickly. Celebrate your success. It's okay to tell yourself what I did was good and I'm proud about myself, right? What it does, it gives you confidence to take on the next challenge. That if you could do it in that case, if you could achieve that little thing, you can achieve the next big thing. So feel proud about your successes. Celebrate them. But when it comes to failure, reflect on your failures. It's really important to take time to think about, why did I fail? What can I learn from it? If a similar situation happens next time, how can I not fail? It's really important to take time to reflect. It's not okay to feel sorry for yourself and to lament about it and not take any learning out of it. That's not okay. That will not push you towards excellence. It won't. You need to reflect and ask yourself, what can I learn from it? So if it happens again, a situation like this happens again, I will not have the same outcome. And then finally, the 4th point I would add is, it's important the company you keep. I think there's a saying when we're growing up in school that birds of the same feather flock together. The company you keep will actually help you build passion towards something that you want to achieve. So if you keep in a company of people that have a similar passion, a similar desire, a similar drive, what that will do for you, it will build in you motivation to strive harder, to either be like them or to even be better than them. So you challenge yourself by mixing and keeping a company of people of similar mind is really important. And lastly, I would say, and this is just a slogan I thought about, I just thought, what is passion and what does it really mean? And one thing that came to my mind in reflecting over the years is you cannot be passionate about something that you do not want. And that's what Dr. Oshioname talked about, understanding your talent, understanding what you're good at, right? Understanding what you actually want. You cannot be passionate about what you do not want. You can't be passionate about someone else's dream, someone else's goal, someone else's vision. You can't. You can only be passionate about the things that you really want. So I'll stop there, given that we're pressed for time, and I'll be open to take questions and discuss this further.
Yeah, thank you very much, Emmanuel. Really appreciate that. Trying to remember seeing you guys in the field in JS1, JS2, working on those Fridays was fun. All right. Okay, thank you very much. So Emmanuel was trying to respond to how we generate the internal passion, how we trying to keep at the game, keep motivated. He said something about having the end in sight. Before you start, you have to know where you are going to, and you now create your small steps. What today some big consultant we call roadmaps to get to where you are going to. Thank you very much. So I would like to bring Ken Erikume into the discussion. So also following up from the topic of today, so Professor Oshioname talked about talents and dreams, and Emmanuel just said something about having the end in mind. So the question is, how do we achieve excellence? Which one comes first? Is it the talent, or do we dream? What drives the dream? Is it what we know how to do, or we just dream and we go and look for the talent? Which one comes first? Is Ken on the line? Hello? Hello, is Kenneth there?
Done a quick scan of the participant. I think we've lost Ken.
Yeah, I'm just, okay. He's not there.
You can move to another person. I will try and get in touch with him.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So I think I will open the floor now for questions. So if you have questions, you can just type them into the chat box. I will bring Lola back for another 2-3 minutes to complete her short story, and then we can open the floor. Lola, over to you, please. So if you have any questions, please just type in the chat box, and then we will take it around. So you can ask your questions to the Prof, to Lola, to Emmanuel, and also to the national president. The floor is open. So Lola, over to you, please.
So I mean, I was already just done, and I think the last thing I was going to say was really about excellence and quality, how they go together. Like they're like two birds of the same feather. Like for you to be excellent, you need to show that content and quality, and consistency, and how I think for me, one of the very important slogans is really quality over anything else. Don't compromise, do the work, be consistent, and hopefully we'll all achieve our dreams and goals. That was it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. In the absence of Kenneth, I will throw the question back to Prof. So how do we start? What should drive the dream? Is it the talent? Is it based on what you can do that you should dream, or you should just dream and find a way to get there? How do you do that?
Yeah, thank you, Austin, for the good work, and also thanks to those that came in while the presentation had taken place. Zubi, thank you. It's good seeing you. To me, the first thing is, first of all, what's the big picture the person has in mind? When you know the big picture you have in mind, you will know how to align your inner skills with the big picture. You want to be an entrepreneur, you don't want a career job. The first thing is Do you have some of those basic entrepreneurship skills? Are you disciplined? Because an entrepreneur should be disciplined. Or you want to pursue a career job? What are the first steps you want to pursue in it? So the first thing is, to me, is you must have that big picture, 10 years, 20 years down the line. And that big picture most times comes from association. You always see kids whose parents are good at skilled work, want to tie directly or indirectly to jobs that tied with that. Yes, you have differences, people that might not follow that rule. But the greatest thing around it, like Okugbaye stresses, who are those you associate yourself with? You always see robbers or those that went into criminal things had one or two bad elements amongst them, and it's tied. So we must have that big picture. Once we have that big picture of what we want to be, gradually, you start working towards it. I was looking at a video of Samuel Eto's story in football, coincidentally, early this morning. He talked about how he wanted to play in the best of teams. The first opportunity he had a 10 days visa to go to France. Before he knew what was happening, the 10 days had expired. He struggled all through as an undocumented migrant till he came back home after about 6 months, back to Cameroon. But he never allowed that the whole thing deter him. He still had that big picture in mind. There were times for scouts came, he failed, they didn't discover the talent in him. He now had another opportunity to travel some years down the line, and that's where he now had his breakthrough. And he now excelled, and he played in the top best of the best teams, and he left his name in the sands of time. So that very big picture we want should be the first thing. Then gradually, we'll now align that big picture. What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? Where can I develop it from? And there we'll now chart our course towards achieving it. And once we know that good is not just enough, we'll keep building and building till we get there with the right mental attitude and discipline. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Oshioname, for the response. The questions or comments are brewing, I guess. I want to bring in Zubi to say one or two things. No, Zubi, over to you, please.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Austin. First of all, I want to use this opportunity to congratulate the 90 set for hitting the 30-year mark. I'll say welcome to the club. I think you're gradually becoming dinosaurs now too. That being said, I just wanted to just contribute very quickly. I think I like one point, and that point is that it is never too late to start, you know, and I would add to start again. And I always like to use myself as an example. I'm glad some of my classmates are here, Ohwo, Norobe, and Clement. I think the very best, Okugbaye was worried that that he had 69% or something like that. That was my position, not my average. You know, in a class of 72, I think, and I'm being very serious. In a class of 72, I think one of the very best positions I took was 69. You know, and apart from the fact that my class was a very competitive class, I think some of us took some more time to develop our innate abilities and skills. It became a different story when I got into the university. You know, getting into university, writing JAMB, I eventually made the best result in JAMB in my department, getting into that department, you know, and that took some retweaking and changing my mindset, and then hanging out with Austin Ohwo, you know, who used to be in honors list, you know, so that talked about, you know, bringing in the right crowds that will help you retweak your mindset, because then it's not as if I wasn't intelligent, but I'd rather play table soccer than read my books, you know. So when I started hanging out with the right crowd, things changed. But what am I just trying to say in essence is that some of us might find ourselves right now in a position where we think that all hope is lost. All hope is not lost. You know, you can basically retweak things. And one of the things that I have also employed, even in my adult life, is if I'm going for something, for example, if there's a job I'm chasing, the first thing I use to set my goals is to look at the job description and then check out what do I have and what don't I have. And then how soon can I get that which I do not have, you know? And then at the end of the day, you can use that to set your goals and get yourself to the level that you want to get to. So once again, congratulations, 1990 set. We, the elders, are waiting for, you know, your libation. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks very much, Zubi, for the comment. And I think it's the key point there is that it's not too late to start again. Underline the again. So we had Lola who spoke about her sojourn in UNILAG, sojourn in the UK, and then adding the two together. So the fact that you are in the university now, you are reading medicine, engineering, and all that, it may not be where you will blossom, but it's never too late to start again. Some of you may be confused and gone to read petroleum engineering like Emmanuel. We are phasing those people out. You can still rejig your career outside of petroleum engineering and come out. So it's very, very important that you are consistent and you are dogged. And I think I will really go back again to the point of Professor Oshioname, which said is doing your best, commitment to being your best with or without a conducive environment. We are very good at giving excuses. We all know the popular saying, when you get your SSE result, you see A3 in math, A4 in English, C5 in biology, P8 in chemistry. You will say, oh, I got A1 in math, they gave me P8 in chemistry. The one that is good, you got it. The one that is bad, they gave you. You've not taken responsibility. You need to take responsibility at some point. And Emmanuel mentioned that when you have such failures, you need to reflect on it and be sure to learn from it. I don't know if there is any other question. There is no other question in the.
There are some questions on the chat, please.
Okay, question. Okay. Yes, I've seen one question. Yeah, I've seen one question now. It said, what happens when your passion doesn't seem to work for you? When does it seem to, when it doesn't seem to yield fruit, how do you know when to change focus, start a new thing? I would like Emmanuel to maybe give a go to this one.
I'll give a go. I'll be brief. The reason I say that is I reflected on this question and I want to be true to myself. I've not had to change track. And so what I don't want to do is to tell you theoretical stuff. But I do feel because I've failed, I've had failures in my life and I've learned from them, I've built on them. But it's all in support of a goal or an end game. And I'll be pleased for any of the other panelists to chip in on this question as well. But one thing I want to add is that it's important to be honest with yourself and really ask yourself, the goal you have set for yourself, is it realistic? Be honest with yourself. And also, is it something within your talent area? Is that something you've got talent for? There are a lot of people who are chasing dreams that are not theirs. They've seen other people do it, they like what they see, and they want to do it. They've never asked themselves, can I be good at this? Do I have anything? Have I shown examples? Have I shown attributes that helps me to understand that I could actually be good at this if I apply myself? So to that question, have a deep think. Have I been chasing something that I do not have a talent for and I cannot be good at? And if you get to that understanding, it's time to switch track. But if it's something you're good at, then time to reflect on what do I need to change. But I'll pause there because I think there may be other people who have actually made changes, U-turns, that can chip in on this question.
Yeah, and I will bring in Lola right away.
Hi, okay. I think Emmanuel was spot on in terms of just thinking about whether it's in your area, because sometimes you're running somebody else's race. I totally agree with that. But I think something you could do as well, because, you know, life is funny. You know, even companies like Amazon and Co., it took them almost 10 years before they could even see profit. Companies like Twitter, for instance, the founder, till now, they're still working that out, but they've been able to gain traction in other areas. So I think that it's possible that sometimes you're achieving your dreams maybe take longer than expected, but I think you have to plan for it. So if I have a dream that perhaps is not going to yield me money for, I don't know, a year, I think you need to plan for it accordingly. So I'll give you an example of myself. Like, there was a time when I was in the UK, I decided that I was going to take some time off my career and take a quick career break. I felt that everything was going too fast and I needed to reflect on my life. And I wanted to also try and start off in entrepreneurship, so run my own business and try my hands on that. It was a very tough call. People thought, how can you leave your good job and, go and start off and be an entrepreneur? It doesn't make sense. But for me, the key things were planning. So I knew that if I'm going to take this leap for the next 2 years, then I need to ensure that I can take care of myself through that time. 2 is, sometimes you can also hold your passion and still be doing something else to sustain you through the while. So you're following your passion, but you also have a job or something that's keeping you at bay. The 3rd is also looking around you at what has happened to others. So if you know that on an average, maybe other people have succeeded in this area in X amount of time, can you also use that as a benchmark to sort of gauge where you are? Not that you're comparing yourself, but it's like industry observation as to what happens. So I think it's those 3 things: planning ahead, thinking that you can run 2 things at the same time, and also looking at what's happening around to see, whether you are on track or not. So that's my contribution.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Can I
Lola.
say something, please?
Yes, go ahead, Prof.
I want to say that passion should be checked with reality. You're passionate about that thing. How real is it? Are we living in another person's world? I'll use my younger brother's own story just to illustrate it. My younger brother was good in sciences. He loved sciences growing up. But ironically, he did science, physics, chemistry, maths in his WAEC. But his passion, he was talented in being a lawyer. I remember that in primary 5 or 6, he played the role of the judge in The Incredible Judge by Wole Soyinka. Would you believe that he had written his WAEC, cleared all his papers, then he went to the Domingos College in Warri then, cleared all his papers. He had to go back and do, because that was when he now realized he wanted to be a lawyer. Meanwhile, he was gifted in arts, writing, poetry. He could stay indoors, not go out for several days. He could sing perfectly. Now, he now had to go back, register WAEC as a private candidate, and now did the relevant commerce and those social sciences-based course that could help him be a lawyer. He ended up reading law. But ironically, his passion was still music, writing. He wasn't keen in practicing his law. That thing set him back, because then I kept telling him that this music will not put food on your table. That you needed something that will put food on your table, like Lola said. Why do you still pursue your passion? It's like much later in life, he came to realize that today is the company secretary for corn oil. But he's using all the funds he has now to subsidize his music, and he's doing well in it. So you can see him not understanding really, he had a passion for that thing quite all right, but he was not realistic in the times we are in. So we should always try to be realistic, be truthful to ourselves in having that passion. How real is it? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oshioname. I think that's a very, very key point, having that reality check. There was a point that SP Uvo put there, which he said we should stress. And I think Emmanuel also mentioned it, that we need to celebrate our little successes. So when you achieve something or when you make a milestone, it's very important that you reflect, how did I succeed here? What am I going to take to the next step? And celebrate yourself. It's very, very important that our UNI-THSOSA people get that. Any other comment?
There's a question from one Soko Alex. Can you see?
Soko Alex. Okay, my question is, you may have a dream, have the passion, and also set the goals, and even know how to achieve it mentally, but don't have the resources to achieve it. How does one go around this? Let me get Zubi to try that.
Okay, well, Austin, well, thanks. I mean, I'm not part of the panel, but, you know, I'm happy to step in. You know, this question comes up all the time, and I see that mostly with a lot of our, you know, our Nigerian youths. This is not to say that I'm trying to downcast or downplay them. The issue or the question of resources, I guess why Austin picked me is because he understands that, he knows that I am a proponent of what I call alternative capital, alternative resources. And I never believe that there are no resources. What I believe in is the fact that you'd have to find a way to take a different look at the resources that are available to you. And you shouldn't be afraid to try. Now, what we have right now, what we're doing now, this UNI-THSOSA bootcamp is a resource, you know, but people, a lot of us might not see it that way, but it is a resource. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about networking. Networking is one of the best steps, one of the best resources that you can have. So do not look at resources as just the immediate availability of cash, because the truth is cash will never be available, you know, but look at resources as your ability to make use of alternative sources. And these alternative sources could be this. I'll give you a very good example again. When, I mean, Austin and I have hustled a lot, you know, at the point we used to call our parents MDs, managing directors, because when we have small contracts here, printing jobs here, those days when we were hustling, you know, the people we go back to is our parents. Now, we don't go back to them to say, hey, I want to buy, what they used to call it then, sneakers, you know, or city jeans or acid wash. You know, we know we want to buy acid wash, stone wash or something like that. We know we want to buy stone wash, but, you know, we know that we have to hustle to get it. So what do? We go out, go get printing jobs. We don't have the money to execute, but we come back with the contract to them and say, we have this job, we want to execute it. We need this amount of money. Now, whether we paid them back or not is a different question. But the bottom line is that we came with something to them. You must have something on your plate. You cannot just come cap in hand. I mean, I've had situations where a lot of people will come up and say, bros, I need 20K. You know, what do you want to do? Oh, I'm hanging out with my friends. No, I mean, personally, I won't give you. But like, if you come and say, this is this and this and this is what I want to do, you need to be able to package it. You know, so when we go back to our parents and get this money, we execute the job, we make our profit, and then we go and buy city jeans. Trust me, it would have been more difficult for us to ask for money to buy city jeans than, you know, getting jobs. And when we're talking about this, we started doing this as far back as when we were in, you know, finishing secondary school. When I finished secondary school, I give this example all the time. My father had 3 transport buses between NLA Junction and Township. You know, when I finished secondary school, I'm waiting for JAMB. What did I do? I started driving one of those transport buses. Now, not everyone might have parents who have transport buses, but the point I'm just trying to make is that look around you, you know, try to become more and more aware and find creative ways to create this alternative capital that I keep talking about. I guess we might talk more about it tomorrow when I'm a panelist in the networking stuff, because actually that's the angle I want to focus on. How do you make use of the network you have as an alternative capital to generate the resources you need to get to where you want to be? Thank you.
Can I chip in as well?
Yes, go ahead, Emmanuel.
I'll be supporting what you've said, Azubike, but I'll come at it from a different angle. And that is, I do believe the undertone of this question is one to do with entrepreneurship and business. I get it, all right? But I think we can look at it from a broader sense as well. And that is also, not everybody are entrepreneurs, not everybody are going to be in that line. The key thing here is, and not necessarily the key thing, but an important point here is, don't try to reinvent the wheel, okay? Always ask yourself, how have other people made success in my situation? And I learn from it. And it builds into what Azuke is saying, but wherever you find yourself, whatever challenge you're facing, and one in which you're thinking, I don't know how to solve this. I don't have the resources to solve this problem. And ask yourself, how have others approached it? There's not just one solution there. Look at a range of solutions and then start thinking about which of them can I go with first. Try them, try the ranges of solutions. Some will fail. And I'm saying this because I don't want to just apply this to an entrepreneurship. A classic example would be in the workplace. You aspire for promotion, but you look around you and you feel like you really don't know how to do it, and you really don't know how you're going to get that promotion. But others have been promoted, so it's important to talk to them. What did they do? Talk to your boss. What do you need to do? What is the expectation, right? Then you start working on the things you need to do. So by reaching out, by finding out information, how others have done it before, that gives you some examples to build on. And through that, you can innovate as well and be creative. So that's what I'd like to add to that as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I would gradually want to round up the session. I guess a lot of people joined in. Yeah, go ahead, Majua.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Let me just say this. When I look at THSOSA and I look at Nigeria, there's no difference. Whatever we can achieve as success in THSOSA, if it can be replicated in every facet of our life outside THSOSA, Nigeria will be better. This in search of excellence, we can still put it as a nation. Nigeria in search of excellence, getting our priorities right. And this takes me back to a basic question, a basic quote. I would put it. I so love that quote. I think it's Frank Fanon that said it. That what is wrong with the country is the sum total of what is wrong with us as individuals. That is basic. What is wrong with me plus what is wrong with Emmanuel plus what is wrong with Austin, if you sum it together, if Austin is scoring 90, I'm scoring 20, by the time you take the average, there will be a drop. But if everybody is at the same level of excellence, then we will achieve success. That is it. Now, the key thing here we should look at. Today, I will bring one other example about family and about THSOSA. We are talking about getting our priorities right. If as member of THSOSA, either in our workplace, our business, if we can achieve that excellence, the society or the association THSOSA will definitely be at the place we want it to be. You understand? let me just give this background. Everybody will definitely belong to family. And one thing I observed about family matter, definitely, you discover that if only one person prospers in family, the burden will be on that person. If somebody is sick, brother, if this the same person they will be going to, the person will like that. But if as you being a success in that particular, you can pull others to rise to that level of excellence. We discover that as they will say in civil engineering, the stress will be equally distributed. But if that is not done, you have one person overachieving, another person underachieving. When you take the average, that will be the sum of where you find the association. So what I'm saying, fine, we are looking at THSOSA today. We are looking at Nigeria. But little assignments we are supposed to do either in our chapter or as a set, all those things, either in our career, like I keep telling people, so why, in all professional association that I belong to, I keep telling people, do you know one thing? If somebody is not performing well as an ESCO, as an individual in an ESCO, that same thing is happening in his workplace. The person can have two mindsets. If he's an excellent performer in his workplace, it will translate if he's holding an ESCO in the association. That is it. You can't have two different, if you are a committed and passionate person, it cuts across. You can't have two mindsets and say, oh, because this is not my job, they are not paying me, then this is the mindset I will use to work. No. So the search of excellence, we look at it that what we are trying to achieve is for the betterment of THSOSA when everybody try to achieve that excellence. But we need to get our priorities right. And once we get our priorities right, Nigeria will get its priorities right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amaju. I think we are going to close in the next 2 minutes. I just want Emmanuel, there's a question there that somebody is saying, what do you mean when you say we should reflect on every step, come back and celebrate your success? What do you mean? There's a question there, if you can just respond to that and then we will close it.
All right. I think it's, let me see how best to answer the question. So the idea of reflection is one of just pausing and say, if I've got success, what did I do right? Was it by luck, or did I do any specific thing which I can apply, build on, to use again in similar situations in the future? That way, success becomes easier. And then when you do make a mistake or when you fail, it's very, very psychological for the human mind to get locked down, to get into a place of blaming either yourself, someone else, making excuses. It's just a psychological thing. But instead of doing that, get to a place where you can say, how did this happen? What did I do wrong? What were the factors that contributed towards this? What can I do differently? And if it's not in your control, is it something that you can actually influence? So the idea there is just taking time to think, not just rushing through life without taking time to think. And then when I say celebrate success, yes, it's okay to feel good. Feel good about the things you've achieved. Be happy. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually good. It gives you positive vibes in your brain and keeps you motivated. It makes you recover from the stress, right? And then when you fail, do not get hung up in that negative place, because it takes energy away to keep you drive. Learn from it and move on. That's what I mean by reflecting. I don't know if that helps. I'm happy to follow up with over further on this to discuss more.
And can I just quickly add one thing? And it's just butchering what you said up, that they say that excellence is an attitude, actually. And with what you said, just taking that step to look back at what you did before and seeing how you can potentially even apply it. You celebrate it, but see how you can apply it to other things. And I think the more you do that, it then becomes an attitude for you where everything that you do, you're essentially doing it excellently. Whether it's to do something in your church, they call you on one program, or to do something in your office or do something for your family, it carries out those same processes. So I just wanted to add that.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Special thanks to our guest speaker, Professor Oshioname Eberemu, our panelists, Lola and Emmanuel and Kenneth in absentia, and all those who joined in this boot camp. I hope our UNI-THSOSA members have gotten some information. Never too late to start. There is always an opportunity, and excellence. Good is not enough. You need to go higher than good. So let us reflect on these, and as we continue the AGM, we hope we have a successful AGM. For those that have not registered, please register properly so that you can cast your vote as well. Thank you very much for joining this session. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are grateful.
Thank you, everyone.
Zubi, nice to see you. Uma,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hey.
Ohwo is gone. I would have loved to say hi to Ohwo.
Iman, nice to see you guys. So, Professor Oshioname.
Thank you.
Oh boy, those days.
My dear.
Those days, nobody take Professor I. They look you that time. Oh.
You don't say me I did in between now. I know
oh man, yeah. Well, that's, I mean, yeah.
I know sit up for front
Well,
of
very
class.
good,
I know
man.
sit up for back.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So, congrats,
I think we can feel free to just chat with ourselves and say hi before we start the next section.
Clement, hello.
Use the opportunity.
I mean, you pass. There's nothing to drink to celebrate. That's my only worry.
Don't worry, don't worry. Anytime you pay me for worry, I must pay in kind and cash.
So there are some palliative drinks in Clement's place, so you can go there.
Bro, Zubi, I hail thee.
Hey, TJ, how far now?
Abba, man.
Man, good to see you guys. So nice to see you guys, man.
Thank you.
You know.
Thank you.
Tobo, how now? How far? How you doing?
Tobo, I don't
I'm
try
good.
you.
Very good. Yeah.
Thanks.
Great job, guys. Great job. Great job.
Thank you. I appreciate my time.
Sergeant A. Sergeant A, I greet you.
Sergeant A now. After the drilling. Thank you.
Okay, guys. So see you guys next session now.
Zubi, we greet you.
How far now? Who be that? Cyril. How far now? Which one?
I'm all right, bro.
I see why
My
you
brother.
Zubi at the end.
Zubi,
Clem, how far?
How far now? Henrietta, how now?
Already don't let us hang out. Oh,
Oh, no.
we should have been in Port Harcourt now, eh?
No.
Yes.
Laura, how now?
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Master.
Zubi, good evening. Good evening, all.
Good evening,
President,
Zubi.
how are you?
I'm fine. I had a swell time today.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all for your
Yes,
contributions,
nice
for the lecture. Thank you very much.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you. Yeah.
Great job.
So, Hetty, good evening.
Great job, guys.
Well done.
So the manifesto comes up at 8, Abi or Gajia. Is that what we are?
Yes, 8 o'clock manifesto.
Okay.
All right.
So let's take a break, huh?
Okay. See you guys by 8. All right.
Get ready for all the grammar.
All right, see you by 8. Yeah.
Okay. We'll see. Yeah.
Zubi, hello.
Yes.
Next meeting.
No, no, normal earpiece. I will connect our Bluetooth. Just leave her like that.
Hold the thing for charging.
Yeah, you want to use
This thing when you put for plug, you can't connect this thing. No, I'm not about charging.
I say no be normal earpiece. You don't understand. It's so many things.
No, you don't understand.
I know, even at that, you know, go do anything. This is not the Samsung. So I just leave that. What's the problem? Yes. Everybody microphone limits. You see the recording. They do online, but their microphone limits. See that recording. You see that? Now Zoom. But they need you all this. They laugh. God. They laugh. They are disturbing me. Hello. Hello. I'm supposed to get share for this. One person will talk. Sorry, see my president. They laugh.
They laugh me.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I tell you so. The laptop that they use, they make their own this fast. Yeah, they use phone. Even your network is not. Did you hear me now? I don't mean like this, you're disturbing me.
Now meeting the way they know.
More people they join. You see, I said they know. When they use laptop.
So close.
Never close. One person will talk. Everybody can only talk
They talk.
They hear me now. Everybody talk.
Did you meeting is plenty?
I think. Okay, your way, sister. Okay, your way, sister. Yeah, that's the office. Hello.
Sir Clement.
I'm trying to get my connection right.
Okay. Hang on.
Yeah, thanks.
Israel, well done. Isaac, well done.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
How you doing?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Hi, sir.
Kenneth. Kenneth. Kenneth, Tama, how you doing? Ken.
Close the door now.
Kenneth, Tama, how you doing?
I'm fine. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening. How are you doing? How is Port Harcourt?
It's a Friday evening, so what can we do?
Nice to hear your voice.
Yeah, it's a good one. Well done, my. I wish you compete very well for this effort at getting the online AGM going.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You would recall I was a very tough critic of this, and Pastor Go is turning out well.
Yeah.
Very entertaining was the last session with the panelists.
Yes.
Of course, you can talk the panelists to do justice to what was being talked. Like Aboifo, who is a known auditor and the likes of his. I think it's a good one. I still want to say thank you so much, and I look forward to more of these interactive sessions and educative sessions so that our younger ones upcoming can equally learn a thing or to make life better for them. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with you. Thank you. Bernard, how are you? Bernard, are you there? Ogizu One International.
Hey, you see Bernard.
How are you doing?
Did they see you? Show me. Yeah.
Oganevo, how are you doing?
Eugene.
Alex. Where's your four nation?
I really was on one.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm fine.
Shay, how are you?
Oh, I'm very well.
Ms. Wells.
Yes, please. Hey,
Yes, it is me. It is I. Good evening.
Good evening. Well done. Thanks for joining in.
Yeah. Thank you. Although I've not registered yet, but I'll make sure I do that tomorrow morning. I just came back from the exam now. Not quite long.
Oh, sorry.
So,
Success in your exam, sir.
No. Thank you. I was trying to get everybody through from Bayelsa chapter. I called the Ekugo.
Okay.
She'll be signing in later today.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
For the coordinator I'm not going to, but I will make a call to him right now. It's that cool. Oh, Raymond. Mr. Raymond.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, Mr. Raymond. Nice seeing you guys.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, Mr. Raymond. Good evening. Nice
I
seeing
hope
you
we
guys.
are all having a wonderful virtual AGM so far.
Sure.
Okay, we are a section whereby I have to introduce the president and the vice president contestants to give us their manifesto. So I want to call on our first contestant, Engineer Silvanus Ajuya. to give us his manifesto.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yeah. Let me start by introducing myself, even though I believe you all know me, but I don't want to go with that assumption. So I want to, first of all, Adrian is my surname. I know most people normally they mix my first name and that is my native name, Omajua, with my Adria, and because the two sounds alike, but my name, surname, Adria Silvanus Omajua. So that is me for you. I'm the national president of THSOSA. My background, I studied electrical electronics engineering. But before then, I belonged to the THSOSA THS set of 1990. And after that, when I entered the university, that was where my passion for THSOSA started, because as at 1991, I was one of the key people that started THSOSA in Uniben then. Then we were just two sets. The 89 set that were already in Uniben, and we started. So, and I belong to the drafting committee. I belong to the drafting committee. I belong to the drafting constitution drafting committee then. So I was able to see THSOSA from that little perspective, where we started from and where we are today. So we want to say my own plan is that I have an agenda for THSOSA, and it's the STEEL agenda that I have. You want to ask me, what is the STEEL agenda? It's an acronym, STEEL, but the S stands for Stakeholder Engagement for Growth and Development of THSOSA, while the T stands for Transparency and Accountability, and E is for Empowerment of Members to enhance our productivity in business and career growth through mentorship. While the E again is for efficiency and effectiveness with the aid of technology. And the L stands for living a shared value as a united steel family. This is my agenda, what I've said about the steel agenda. But before then, I think it's paramount that I mentioned to you my achievement, why for the past 3 years as THSOSA president. I think that would be a better evaluation to look at to see if I'm worthy to come back as your president or not. And like I mentioned, going to my key achievement, like I mentioned, after we left the university, I discovered that life changes. We were at youth service, looking for a job and things like that. After years, I later discovered that THSOSA at the university was non-existent, and this is the critical link. And you, as you say, the chain is stronger, that is the weakest link. And I look at it and say, what is wrong? That we need to bring back the UNI-THSOSA. And that was one of my focus in the last 3 years. And to date, I think we have a couple of them up and running for the UNI-THSOSA. And if not for the COVID, we would have gotten more. But today, I'm proud to say that we have about 4 UNI-THSOSA up and running. And we have about 6 more that will have come on board, if not for the COVID-19. Then another thing, if you look at it, in any society, we also talk about welfare, because when anybody belongs to a society, the first thing the person wants to say is that, what is in it for me? If they can't see that, then, sorry, the association, you will discover that the association cannot move anywhere. And when I discovered this, I said, okay, one of the key things would be for me to get a welfare package for members that will be beneficial to all. And that was what brought about the THSOSA Group Life Insurance Scheme, which we implemented. And as of today, we have about 23 members in that particular scheme. The projection we made is that in the next, by the time 2-3 years time, we should be getting about 100 members on the THSOSA Welfare Group Life Insurance Scheme, which is part of our welfare scheme. And if you look at it mathematically, it makes a lot of sense. Today, as the president of THSOSA, I can bet either set or chapter, nobody has exceeded for one single individual. So we are contributing for burial that will exceed 1 million. And as a set, you can't tell, or as a chapter, you can't tell. We don't pray for anything bad, but you don't know if if today you make a contribution, what is the next? If anything should happen, that you call for another contribution. How consistent are we? And it becomes, how would I put it, painful when somebody contribution for someone is based on how popular the person is. Then you create problem. So to create a unifying fee, that's why you have to bring the group life insurance. You pay your premium, and whatever happens, you get payment for that, and it's fixed. And the minimum anybody can get for the group life as regards death or something is ₦1 million. There are other ones there. That is one of the things I got into place while currently as the president of THSOSA. Then the other one, we discovered that most of the time after normally we do attend speech and prize giving day for the younger ones in THS. But we discovered that after the prize giving day, the students just receive prizes. They don't even know where the prizes are coming from, whether it's from THSOSA, even though they mentioned THSOSA that day, some of them don't even know what is THSOSA or what is THSOSA is all about. So based on that, we have to create an interactive session for THS graduates. So before the prize giving day, we normally have an interactive session for the graduates for THS, where we call them, tell them about the benefits of THSOSA, the mission and vision of THSOSA. They should understand this and what they will be expecting during the prize giving day. Then after that, we track them so that immediately they are going into the tertiary institution, we're able to follow up with them. And my vice I've been saddled with this responsibility of monitoring what is happening in UNI-THSOSA, and he has been doing a fantastic job because we track them real time. Whatever any THSOSA member you mentioned, we have them already. Then the other one that came up again was that, okay, what if we allow them to go like this, they enter the university, just like during the panel discussion, we are saying the company you keep is very important. So we now discover that, well, we need to create sort of like a mentorship stuff so that we make sure that our members are focused in whatever they are doing. So they brought about the THSOSA mentor-mentee scheme. But in doing that, the focus is not even only to the students in the tertiary institution. We look at it that some of us, we just graduated, we need to understand what life situation is as we're working in a private or maybe corporate environment. You need to understand that. So that's why we have to bring the THSOSA mentor-mentee scheme, and it cuts across board. So we have the 3 distinct categories, and the mentorship is for all of them. So we have, occasionally we do have webinar where we bring speakers, panelists to discuss on key issues. That is one of the other aspects of the THSOSA mentor-mentee scheme. Then the other one, you discover that THSOSA by to be frank with you, THS in 2023 will be 40 years old. As at when I took over power, because today, if you look at it, THS is we graduated 1990. Those that graduated in 1990, they are doing their 30th anniversary this year. But something happened, and I discovered that we have THSA, but we discovered that the association is not even registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. So that was a dangerous thing. And what the first thing I did when I came into office, I said, yes, we have to get this right and do a proper registration for the association with the CAC. Today, I'm glad to say that we are duly registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. And we have, based on that, we can open a proper bank account with the banks. And also you discover some sets who come to the national that they want to open an account. But they will now require them that, okay, they need maybe from CO7 or whatever form they call it to open an account. And we oblige them, we give them this so that they can open an account. That is where we are going towards. Then the other one, not to take too much of your time, which I want to dwell more because it's something that starts today, but it doesn't really have an end, is the website we have to develop. Fine, there was a website initially, but after some time it went up. So we have to look at it, what went wrong and this thing. So we say, okay, let us come with a website because all the traffic we are generating, either when we post anything, it goes to Facebook, but we need to create a website where we can drive traffic. I know it will take some time for us to be used to the website, but the idea about the website is that it will be a one-stop shop for all THSA activities. We are just starting. What you are seeing today, although we say website, but in the real sense of it, it's an event page. But later on, because of the time constraint that we are trying to, we're dealing with to put the website, we say, okay, the best scenario is for us to go with a web page and an event page, but later we'll upgrade it to a full website where you can see, if you want to find out about Warri chapter, you click it. If you want to find out about 2002 set or 2000 set, you see every information there about the association, all what we are doing. Then we went a step further that, well, we have to integrate e-payments so that people can pay for registration in that chapter, or if you want to make payments, that is there. Then one of the key thing again is the e-voting portal. And let me say this here, this work was done by THSOSA members. Some in the university, some they just graduated, we gather them together and they have to work. Sometimes 2 a.m., 3 a.m., we are up trying to get this thing done. In fact, the time I wrote, when we had a National Council meeting that the AGM will be virtual, we don't even have a website, but it was a tall order because it was a challenge. Look, we have to come up with a website that we can do e-voting and that we can do payments. So it was a crash program. Everybody that was involved, I want to thank, at this point, let me just mention Tobo and Oli, because they were the one when we had the meeting that said, we can't get people to do it, and they hunted for those guys that were able to do it. So it's fantastic, and today we are here. I really appreciate them. For me, I believe they are the heroes of this AGM, honestly speaking. I want to really congratulate them. These are just a few things, but you ask me after all this, where are we going? What do I have for the future? Like I said in my manifesto, you might not understand it more, but it's my duty to explain it to you. When I said inventing tomorrow, there are a lot of things. My eye is on 2023 because we have THS celebrating 40 years anniversary. If you understand what the milestone is for any organization, it's a turnaround period. 40 years, there are certain things we need to get right and celebrate at that 40. What are those things? Today we are an old student association. Not only an old student association I want us to be, but I want us to be a world-class old student association where people will make reference to THS because they can see what they are doing. When we started, initially, a lot of people were saying, premiums, the Indians, they are not doing anything. Well, my own method of approach is different. If I want to be aggressive, I can. But if I want to be diplomatic, I can. If I want to be strategic in achieving anything, I can. But once I profile you, I know where to go. And when I looked at it, I said the best way to go is stakeholders engagement. That is the basic understanding from a project management perspective. We tell you that for you to succeed in any project, you have to carry the stakeholders around. And that was the starting point for me when I came in. We engaged all the stakeholders up to the traditional ruler, the management of premium team, the management, the student, everybody. So they were able to see, they were able to see our roadmap, where we are going. And by repeatedly telling them this is what we need to do, they have to fall in line. They have no option than to fall in line. And today, I can tell you that we're on the right trajectory. Come when we'll be celebrating our 40th anniversary, I will tell you this in advance. Warri, we know that this is the largest garden of steel mines, and the city of Warri, we know that something great is happening. This is just from aspect of what I'm saying about the website, but at the same time, we need to get members to be committed. How do we get members to be committed? Somebody wants to come into the association. Why would the person want to pay his due? They want to see transparency. That is what we are doing. We want to make sure that anything, any problem you put, that you can account for it. We tell you that this is what your money is being spent on. And we are doing just that. Transparency, we don't joke with it. Up to this level, when we are doing the e-voting, the online payments for the AGM. If you look at what is happening at the back end, you can track everything that is happening. Those that pay with card, those that pay with USSD transfer, you can track everything. And that is transfer. If there's any issue, you can track. My vision is that at the end of maybe by next year, chapter dues, anybody that want to pay, go to the website, pay your chapter dues. No point going to pay to chapter dues. From one single district, we look at from the national point. You can see every chapter, those that are up to date with their dues, those that are up to date with their AGM dues. Each chapter president can see that. And once you can see that, and everybody member can see that they are paying and what they are paying their money for is being, I bet you people will be committed to give more to the society. Transparency, accountability, and transparency is the bedrock on which any association stands on. And I believe we are on good footing as regards that. And I will drive the society to achieve just that. At this point, I want to stop. And I don't know if people will have 1 or 2 or 3 questions for me. I'm ready to take on the questions. Thank you very much. I'm done. Any question for me? Moderator.
Well, Mr. President,
Mute my mic.
I know questions are coming, but before then, mine is not a question. Mine is just to say thank you very much for everything that you have been doing so far. I mean, it's the evidence of hard work and the hard work of all your set of executives, and of course, indeed, the individual chapter executives is hidden in plain sight. Everyone can see it, and the growth and development that has come to THSOSA through you and your executives and all the people that are working is definitely seen. I just want to say a personal thank you to you, and wish you the best as you continue. I mean, if elected.
Okay, thank you very much, Sergeant A.
Can I say something?
Yes, free to do.
Yeah, sorry,
our moderator is nowhere to be found, but let me hear. I can say a question and answer session. You can make it interactive, no problem.
Okay. So sorry, I stepped out of the Zoom meeting for a bit, but I heard the beginning part. Well done, well done, well done. The last 3 years has been awesome. The growth has been fantastic. This is where we wanted to be, and this is where we are. But my own concern is we've done all this for THSOSA. THSOSA, the body, the institution, is moving in a particular direction, and we're all going along with it. Where I have a problem now is the question I have really is, what are we doing to keep the life of THSOSA? Now, there is the institution, like I said, the system that is running, but THSOSA comprises humans, people who need to bond, who need to network over the 1 year, not waiting for just the AGM or meetings or different things. What are we doing? Just in case you mentioned it in my absence, I don't know. What are we doing? What's your plans for the next 3 years, if elected, to say, okay, I know THSOSA, we are going this way, but then our Facebook or all our interactive sessions seem to have died the natural death. There's no life in THSOSA. It's just calling up, passing on messages like, okay, sending newspaper clippings. What are we doing to keep the life of THSOSA? What are we doing to keep everybody interested in THSOSA, not just waiting for the end of the year for AGM?
Okay, a very good question. Thank you very much. One of the things there, when I mentioned the TMMS, which is the THSOSA Mentor Mentee Scheme. You discover that the way that scheme runs, it doesn't wait for end of year before we do maybe a webinar or stuff like that. No, we have a database of THSOSA members that are in their own different field, that are experts. We can call on them to talk on a particular topic. And apart from that, what we do in that particular group, we look at THSOSA, we try to look at members and see where do we have deficiency and what kind of training needs do members need. So based on that, we now develop a training need for that particular stuff. Now, well, we can say it's online, things like that, but you discover that we don't want to build it as if it's only the national that will drive it, but the national have to like be the catalyst to start the reaction. you discover, I don't know, but whether during your time when you were president, I think if the chapter presidents are here, they can attest to that. We came out with a work plan for the year, and we listed certain things that each chapter should do that must be in alignment with what the national is doing. That where you can have end of year party, you can have a health talk, you can have a fitness talk. All these things is like getting members to be in sync with what the national is doing. In management, they call it group dynamics. So from the head, where you have different teams and set like this, you need to manage them, and they need to work in a group that they will be able to see and move with the vision of the society. So that is what we are doing. Although like change is not easy, but when you start it, people will not understand where you are going until they see where you are going and they can see the benefit. I know the battle we even fought before we were able to have this virtual AGM. So these are just some of the things. I'm not saying that virtual AGM is what we do every year. No, we had in mind before that Port Harcourt we host, followed by Asaba. But COVID came in. But as a leader, you have to be creative. Anything that comes off as an obstacle, I don't really see it as an obstacle. Rather, I see it more of an opportunity. You can imagine the kind of discussion that is going on here today if we decide to cancel the AGM because of COVID-19. This kind of intellectual gathering that we're having to discuss that will be beneficial. Even some of us that are even working is beneficial to us too. We will have missed it completely. So these are just some of the things. What we are doing at the national, and we assure you that we cascade. Even worry, I think earlier in the year, they organized a talk too. And I believe THSOSA Lagos have organized a talk. These are initiatives. So I don't know if you have any other question or if I answered them.
I get you. I get the chapter initiatives. I get all the things that have been happening. At least I am THSOSA involved to that level, right? I get all the things that have been happening. Chapter, what I'm saying is we have members, THSOSA members who are not affiliated to any chapter at the moment. We are talking on the national level now. What is on the national level that is supposed to put all of us together before the end of the year? AGM is the only national event for now that takes everybody together. Yes, I understand the trainings, I understand all the things, but then there are things that, like, there are aspects of all, there should be some question and answers, things that interaction between, not necessarily a webinar or anything. We have the Facebook, we have other places, there's a website, they can send mails. What interactions can say, okay, where do we go from here? Who do people ask when they say, okay, how do we pay our dues when we are not affiliated to any chapter? What's happening? Why is there so much stagnancy? Because I know I've asked you this question over time. Stagnancy in our Facebook information. Why don't information not spread out? Why does it go just within chapters? Yeah, and even within the chapters, you have this separate isolation thing. Okay, THSOSA Lagos is doing its thing, THSOSA Port Harcourt is doing its thing. No, being the national president, what are the plans to unite all of these events, all of these things together to say, at THSOSA National, there should be a buzz in THSOSA all through the year, not just in chapters or in sets. A buzz in the whole of THSOSA, carrying the whole of THSOSA along. If you notice, there was a time we did a lot of our interactions, a lot of our comments on the Facebook. So there should be, the question I am asking is, what is the national doing? What's your plan to unite all of this, minus the AGM they're talking about, or chapter and set interaction?
Yeah, it still boils down. Let me go back. If you look at let me start with THSOSA Constitution. If you look at THSOSA Constitution as it is today, is what you will see mentioned is THSOSA at the national level and chapter. There is nowhere we see sets. So what we are trying to do and what we have been doing over the years is to create this set WhatsApp group that is for us to be able to get the set together. Because in any society, in any association, especially for women, it's the set that drives the growth of the association. That is the basic. That is the basic. And we realizing. That's why you say, okay, we need to get the set. And some of the inputs, I don't know if you've gone through the review of the Constitution, mention set. So we are looking at it, set will be recognized in the Constitution. They'll be given a voice. And once we have that, then we are getting closer to the people. So we have a 3-tier, of which you have national, you have the chapter, and you have the set. So what happens now is that, fine, as THSOSA national, we come out with different things, that activities, just like we did for chapters, which set can replicate at their own level. They bond perfectly with their members. Then one other thing again, apart from, I'm not going to the AGM, that's what another important thing of having the website. Because if any person is finding out anything, if you want to go to maybe a job interview, a particular company, first thing you do is that if they have a website, let me go and read about them. So likewise, we need to create that for THSOSA, so that any person that needs to get any information will go to the website, and you can get that information and be well informed. Maybe you don't even belong to SED, you just say, they have the same THSA, I don't know where I am. As of today, like I mentioned, we have THSA members in 63 countries of the world, 63 countries. We look at it that some, maybe 1 or 2 members, 1 member, some large proportion of members. But even at that, in diaspora, one of the main, in diaspora, we have this challenge that they just gather, but there's no structure as in regards chapter. This is part of the team, part of the focus. If I'm voted into power for the next 3 years, that we focus on diaspora and the set. We need to get that right for further interaction, so that as members, we need to grow more. And let me just bring this here. One of the strategies of this webinar, what the agent that we are having joint speakers, we discovered that the speakers are not only from Nigeria, they are from different parts of the world, different states. The planning of this AGM even was totally no physical, we did not sit physically to plan it. Everything we are seeing, website design, e-voting portal, no, there was no physical meeting. We are working from different parts of the world, and we're able to achieve that. But I'm telling you, with the structure that is coming, that's being functional, we will definitely achieve more. Thank you. Any other question? So that will not be like a monologue.
Where is Mr. Moderator?
Let's get the questions coming for our contestants. Any other question? If not, let's move on to the Vice President contestant.
Who is the moderator? Can you check the group chat? There is a question there.
Moderator has disappeared.
Okay, yes, the question says, good evening, President. Thanks for the last 3 years. Today is THSOSA. Today in THSOSA, we have a group of persons that seem more attached to their set groups and do not see the need to participate with a local chapter. What are your plans to integrate all? I believe he has answered this question.
I can just add 1 or 2 things to.
Hello.
Yes, this person. Let me chip in something as regards this particular question. One thing, when the constitution, this constitution that is being reviewed, we noticed something, and we said, well, one of the conditions that will be there is that for the coordinator or the president of that student, he must belong to a THSOSA chapter. So you discover that if that person belongs to a THSOSA chapter, automatically he will understand what is happening in THSOSA, and he will understand what is happening in national. But if he doesn't belong to a chapter, he will not know what is happening in the national level, and he will just be working in a silo. So that is part of the strategy. If this constitution that we're going to adopt maybe tomorrow is adopted, the ESCO of the set must be a member of a chapter. So they are not working in silos. That is the strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, engineer, for that excellent answer. Can we have the contestants to give his manifesto so that we can proceed? Thank you.
Raymond, just a quick one. Before Tobo comes on, I just want to, the chairman of Constitution Review, I believe is online. So by the time Tobo finishes, maybe we want to say one or two things, how he will handle the section as regards the Constitution Review tomorrow. He was supposed to do it in the afternoon. I heard he was nowhere to be found. I believe this is an opportunity for him to inform members about what to expect in the section tomorrow. Thank you. Tobo, you have the.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you for that information. Shunu gives his manifesto, and thereon the chairman of the Constitution can go ahead with his input. Thank you. Shunu, let's have you on board, please.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to be seeing some faces again. My name is Tobo Chunu, third of 91, and I've been here as the outgoing National Vice President. And I'm a man of few words, unlike Mr. President, who has said it all. But my office requires a total support to the visions of Mr. President, of which you would have heard in his speech, that I have been that support person to him in achieving all the plans, ideas for the past 3 years. One of my greatest achievements in that period was bringing to life the UNI-THSOSA chapters, of which he has mentioned a lot about also, which was bridging the link between when a student leaves EHS to when a student is actually recognized, an ex-student is actually recognized as a member of the THSOSA body. That is one area where I wish to continue to focus my energy because we have a lot of them out there who are still yet to connect in. By the grace of God, we're able to get 4 chapters up and running, and I hope to get not less than 4 chapters added to the 4 already running if I'm to continue running in this office. That being said, I'm here trying to give all the support I can, being that one person that can be reckoned on by the president whenever he needs to get his visions running in the right direction. With this, I say thank you. So I'll be open to questions, please.
So do we have a request for no?
Mr. Chunu, good evening. Thank you so much for
Any question for Chunu, please?
Yes, my name is Shay. I'm directing a question to Mr. Chunu. I don't know if you can hear me.
Question for him. Then I want.
Somebody is talking. Somebody is talking. Shay is
hello,
talking.
Rema, please. Somebody is talking.
Yes, I can hear.
All right. Thank you so much.
Can you be louder a bit, Shay? Please be louder.
All right. Is this better? Is it better?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, it's
so
okay.
I still can hear you clearly.
Okay. I said, thank you for sharing your manifesto with us. The question I have is, you mentioned an additional 4 chapters at the minimum to the currently running 4 chapters. I'm wondering if there's any plan in those 4 chapters to integrate the community in diaspora, because I'm currently in Canada and I've started an informal group for the last 4 years. However, we're not able to formally call ourselves a chapter because we're not registered. Registration here is a lot of...
Sorry to cut you. Can you put it to the voice because we don't know who's speaking?
Oh, sure.
Can you come up on your video?
All right.
Put up video, please.
Okay. Do you want me to start all over again, or you're fine from where I stopped just now?
I think you can go on, please.
All right. So my question is, for those of us who are not home at the moment, how can we get integrated in terms of financial dues? Right now, some of us try to pay through the Lagos chapter because we were part of that chapter before we left Nigeria. But if we're identifying now as members of THSOSA in Canada, and we do communicate, we have a group, Facebook, WhatsApp, and we're in touch with one another, but how can we make that, you know, a more formal representation in terms of our financial commitment? Because we're currently doing it at an individual level.
Okay, thank you for that question, Sherry. I would say Mr. President has answered a little bit of this while he was talking. Getting to integrate those in diaspora. When we are able to get us together as a chapter, those I here can't tell you exactly how it will run because the conditions in which you are over there is quite different from what it is for us over here. But then also our constitution will make provision for that. I believe the Constitution Review Committee has captured that, as suggested, and that will make it an easy play. When I talked about the creation of 4 chapters, I wasn't mentioning, I wasn't specific on THSOSA chapters. I was talking about the UNI-THSOSA chapters, and that's those in the tertiary institution. I just want to make that point clear, and that's where I had pushed my energy into, and that's where I remarked 4 chapters coming in within not less than 4 chapters coming up within the next 3 years if I get the office. I do not know if I've in any way answered your question.
Thank you so much. There's more clarity. Thank you.
Sorry, I know this is a Tobo's section, but maybe after the AGM, I will still have a one-on-one discussion with you so that we can at this particular team, AGM that we are doing. But let me tell you this, part of the strategy of this AGM is to reach out to the diaspora members so that we can get them to be involved, let them have a feel of what is happening in our AGM and get them to kickstart their chapter in wherever they are. That is one of the things, and I'm happy that you are online today attending this, and we'll follow it up. So I believe the next AGM we'll be doing, you'll be hearing something about Canada chapter or wherever you are in Canada. I'm assuring you, I believe so. We'll work it out. Thank you very much. Mr. Moderator, I'm done. So I don't know if you have any questions. If there are questions coming, so that you can direct it to Mr. Tobo.
Can I ask a question?
Okay,
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. President.
Can I ask a question?
Okay,
yeah, free.
There's a question here from Isaac. He stands to represent 2 chapters, Bayelsa and Calabar, 2005. His question is, I think this goes to Mr. Chu. Is there any plan for every chapter to get to your people? Because for this, a lot of activities have taken place, and I have relieving calls that since we are one body, we should have to get to you to know what's happening and to inform you on what's going on in every chapter. That question goes to Mr. Chunu.
Yes, thank you for that question. I would like to take it here clear that one, I am in touch with every member of every of the chapters. The two chapters you mentioned are the UNI-THSOSA chapters. I am in touch with every member in every chapters of UNI-THSOSA chapters mentioned already running and soon to be up and running. And then for all the sets, mostly the junior sets who are in those chapters, we have the representative of each set in touch with the national president. So information goes both ways, from the set or the chapters up and then from the national down. There has been a seamless communication between both bodies. But there is this one challenge we have, and it's a common challenge of the junior class saying things like, I don't have data, I wasn't online for a long time. So you find out a whole lot of them, they miss out information here, they miss out then. I have created a means of sending information to every single member of those who have identified, either with a chapter or with a set in which I'm in touch with. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chunu, for that intelligent answer. We also have another question. Okay, I don't think this is a question. It says that okay, this is coming from Shay. That's a great question and also a great insight into your activities in Canada. I have actually been thinking about the possibility of setting up a North American chapter, that is US and Canada and Mexico. That would be fantastic. And if anyone is there, virtual congregation like this one can help us set up something. That's very good.
Well, I did respond.
That's going to be a very good.
I think
Hello?
that comment was from Mr. Agoifo, and I responded that we currently have a North American group running, comprising US and Canada, and we broke out of that group for the Canadian body. As we grew bigger in Canada, we created a separate, smaller group. And
okay.
I mentioned that I think we're about 23 current members in the Canada chapter right now.
Okay,
hello,
that's
Mr.
fantastic.
Moderator. Raymond, can I say something?
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, if the president and vice president are done, which I think they basically are, we only had 3 persons give their manifestos in the first session. We don't have the financial secretary and some other ones. They haven't come. We don't even know what they look like. We don't even know what they have to offer. Was there no opportunity? Was there no opening for them to give their manifestos? Elections is tonight.
I actually did call upon them, but I don't think they were online. But if they are online, I could spare us 10 minutes for them to give their manifesto. That is after which the chairman Constitution Review would have given his own inputs, because we're actually trying to
I will
run
suggest,
with time.
Raymond, I will suggest let the chairman Constitution Review take the floor, then try to call those people that wherever they are, that they should come for the manifesto now. So before it's done, then we can come in for their section.
All right, thank you for that suggestion. We'll do just that. So let's have the chairman of the Constitution Review have the floor while we get ready to hear other manifestos give their speech.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, you can't see me clearly because I'm not gotten home yet and I'm in sort of a dark place. So pardon me, let me just give a rundown so you know the situation on ground. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening. You're welcome.
We can't see you.
I just explained the reason why you can't see me. I had to stop. I'm in transit actually. I had to stop so that I could join the meeting so that I don't delay you. And it's quite dark here, so I don't really know how. Just bear me out, please. I am Maro Kenneth, class of 95, and chairman of the THSOSA Constitution Review Committee. Before I proceed, permit me to appreciate this national executive for giving the members of the committee the opportunity to serve. And in the same vein, I want to apologize for my absence at the last AGM. I had a delayed flight and I want to apologize for not being present when it was supposed to be adopted. It is on that score I want to intimate all this that we have reviewed the Constitution and we have received feedback from chapters, from individuals, and also interested stakeholders. And to make it easier so that we don't have a rowdy session tomorrow, we'll be focusing on the feedbacks, the comments, and or the remarks made based on the reviewed Constitution we sent to chapters before now. Because if we leave the floor for every section of that reviewed Constitution to be deliberated upon tomorrow, we might not end up adopting that Constitution. So to that end, there are issues of typographical errors, there are issues of certain, let me just do a review of it, give you a summary on the issue of how much should be remitted by chapters to the National Executive Committee for the running of the association at the national level. That's one of it. So I want us to limit ourselves actually to the remarks or comments from chapters so that we don't overstretch the reviewed Constitution, since a lot of persons did not send in their comments, and there's a timeline for doing such. That's why we sent it ahead of time before the AGM. So our chapters will make their input, send back to us. So at the AGM, those sections that look contentious, those remarks that have been made that we want to work on at the AGM, make reference to at the AGM, if they are contentious, they'll be voted on and we proceed so that we don't leave the adoption for another AGM. So we'll limit ourselves to the remarks that we got or feedback that we've gotten from chapters based on the review of the Constitution we sent to them. And it's based on those remarks that we'll be deliberating on the Constitution tomorrow. And if we are good to go, we adopt it. And if there are other comments that need to come later, it will come at the next AGM. But we have to adopt this Constitution because it's one that falls in line with the reality of our time. And some of these things include virtual proceedings at meetings in the case of pandemic or foreseen circumstances beyond our control. These are some of the inputs we brought into it. That's why we sent it out earlier so that chapters, as well as their presidents, we send them to the chapters and chapter presidents and secretaries so that they will give us feedback. We've gotten some feedback from Warri, from Port Harcourt, and tomorrow we'll be reading out those remarks on the floor of the House so that we'll deliberate on them, and then we can now adopt our Constitution. So I don't know if there's any other thing anybody want to say concerning it. In that as it may, I think we should wait for tomorrow so that we work on those remarks, hear what the House, members of the House have to say at the AGM, and then we will now place it on vote if those remarks are contentious across chapter lines. We'll have to put it to vote. And the issue of class and sets are taken into consideration in this reviewed constitution. The issue of all this in the diaspora has been taken into consideration in this particular constitution. So tomorrow we will be, and since there are no, if there are any contentious areas in those areas that we have dealt with, and based on our input in the reviewed constitution, if there are remarks coming in that angle, and we see that chapter presidents or secretaries have made remarks towards that line, we'll put into vote what you want it to be, but whereby those things are not contained in the review, I will appreciate if we exclude them for now and move so that THSOSA can move forward. Our association is a dynamic one that is growing, and every society that is developing is built on a legal framework. THSOSA is one of such. We are guided by our constitution. The constitution is one that is a work in progress. This might not be the most perfect constitution you might want, but actually, when you see it, you know that it is a work in progress. And I appreciate the input of all members of the committee, chapters, presidents, and members of chapters towards making it what it is. That will be all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much, Chairman of the Constitution Review, for that wonderful speech. And it will be of great pleasure to have the other contestants. The other contestants give their manifesto if there is no question for Barrister Maro Kene. Any question for him? If we don't have any question for Maro, then we can quickly go back to manifesto delivering by the Assistant Secretary. Okay, no, the Assistant Secretary has given a manifesto. Social and Welfare Officer Michael Okoro, then followed by Public Relations Officer Ejiro Akowen, then Financial Secretary Aimwa Thompson, then I think that's it. In that order, let's start with Michael Okoro, Social and Welfare Officer. Do we have Michael on board? If we don't have Michael on board,
I think I can see Adrian Cohen. So let's start with the person that we can identify and let him start. Then we can start with the rest if Michael is not around.
Can we have Ejiro? Can we have Ejiro on board? If Ejiro is not on board, can we have Thompson? These guys may be on board. Why? What about Ufoma Anikebe, treasurer? Coming out for the post of the treasurer. Ufoma. I don't think any of these persons are on board, so I think we'll just proceed.
Mr. Chairman, I believe it's good you mentioned the time the voting will start later tonight and when it will end tomorrow. And what qualifies one to be an eligible voter?
I think the voters' registration should be out. The list of verified voters should be out. And then, Mr. Chairman, you should let us know how to get in touch with this particular list so we know if we've been registered properly before we go vote. And then if I'm not registered in that list and I go vote, will I be able to access the platform? Raymond, are you there?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm here. Thank you for your input, engineer and our able contractor. Yes, the list has been sent out to your various chapter presidents, and what qualifies one to vote, what makes you eligible to vote, is if you have and your chapter president has verified you. It says that you have up with your annual dues in your chapter as well as your AGM dues. Your vote would count and you would be able to vote as well. Other than that, you will not be able to access the platform for your vote. And the voting time starts at 7:30 p.m. till 14th, 4 p.m. tomorrow. Is everyone clear with that explanation?
Chairman Eleko, can you repeat what you said now? Hello, Chairman Eleko, can you just repeat what you mentioned just now? As regards the time.
Sorry, I didn't get it clearly.
Can you repeat what you mentioned now with respect to the timeline for the voting?
Okay, the timeline for vote today, November 13th, it will run through that hour till 4 p.m. November 14th, tomorrow. And voting is strictly e-voting and it's online, and it's going to be on the portal which shared earlier on. And for Hereta's question, the list has been shared to all chapter presidents, and your chapter president is responsible for dishing out that information to you guys and who is eligible to vote and who is not eligible to vote. Thank you.
Let me just throw more light to what the chairman and Ekugo has said. What happened was that the e-voting portal was opened. I can't remember the timeline, but I know that it was closed. The last time to accept people to register was on the 10th of November. After that, the portal closed for those to register. So now, from the portal, a list of members that registered for voting was generated, and it was sent to all chapter presidents. The list that was sent to the chapter president has 2 columns. First column, chapter due. Second column, AGM levy. So your chapter president is supposed to fill those 2 columns. Assuming, let me say, Eugene is on that number 23 on that list. So the chapter president will look at Eugene. Oh, chapter due, yes, that means it's financially up to date. AGM, yes, it's financially up to date. Then that means he is an eligible voter. If it happens that another person, number 24 on the list, maybe A0, the chapter president look at it, column, chapter due, still owing some months have not paid, no, then AGM, the person has paid, yes. He cannot vote. For you to vote, those 2 columns have to be yes, yes, because there will be a 3rd column that Ekugo will create, which will state eligible to vote, not eligible. So that is it. So for you to be eligible to vote, you have to have a yes, yes. That is it. And that is list. That is what he's saying. So the chapter president will fill those 2 columns and send back to Ekugo. So chapter president is their onus now to clarify from their financial dues they've been collecting to confirm if a member is financially up to date. For the AGM, they can also confirm that. We have people registering online, and we have people that pay through to their chapter directly. Both lists of all members that paid the AGM online was made available to the chapter president, so the chapter president can go through and confirm that so member, okay, paid online. Yes, at what time? You know the time at the back end, we can see the time you made the payment, the duration of time you spent in making that payment. Everything is captured. So we send it to the chapter president by, I think, Ekugo. Then after that, Ekugo has that list. Ekugo will now transfer that list to the people that are behind the e-voting portal, which they are supervising as regards this e-voting. So if your own is a yes, no, or no, yes, that means you are not eligible to vote. Automatically, they will block you, even though you are registered as a voter. You can't vote because you did not meet the criteria. That is just the explanation. And to add to that, I said voting starts today. Besides, the time is 11:50 p.m. So to start 11:50 p.m. and spill over to the next day, because we believe that people work and people are at different locations, so that will give them opportunity to be able to exercise their franchise. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for that explicit explanation. So I believe it's clear enough. I just want to chip in this. I'm yet to get a verified registered list from Asaba and Abuja chapter. So I'm saying this here so that you have your president or whoever has been assigned to blame if you cannot cast your vote. So other than that, I think we'll bring the section to an end. Except maybe someone has any input or question to ask.
Good evening, Raymond.
Yes,
Hello?
good evening.
Yeah, I just sent in a chat to ask a question. The list of eligible voters that chapter president already forwarded to you, can it be reviewed and people before now are paid up their dues?
Hello.
I can't hear you. Maybe you can. I don't know whether Raymond heard you, but please, can you speak louder?
Raymond, did you hear me? Hello.
I didn't get you clearly.
I asked.
I didn't get you clearly, Rolly.
Yes. Okay. Now
Can you
listen
please
up.
repeat yourself?
My question is, can that list be reviewed? Because one person at least paid up dues in the course of the day. That person got a no somewhere for financial status. But now that the person has paid up, I don't know if we can review the list.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. My name is S. Sagwa, and I wanted to ask a question along the same lines. Now, for elections, I'm S. Sagwa, I'm the Vice President for Lagos chapter. For elections, there's often a deadline.
Sorry,
Yes?
sorry to cut you. Let me take Rolly's question. She said somebody has paid and the person is supposed to get a yes. For your question, it's not the ELECO chapter that's very, the president each chapter. So if being a no erroneously, then it's not our fault, because we just send each chapters to verify and
you didn't get
send
me,
back to us,
Raymond.
and we work with information that was reviewed back to us.
You did not get me, sorry. Obviously, you didn't get me. Hello, can you hear me? I
hope
said,
that's clear enough.
Before now, no, it is not.
Raymond, I got a question. Let me put it this way. What, Rolly, so that Raymond can understand. Raymond, what she says that as at the time she submitted the list to you, the person was having a no, but the person just registered for the AGM. So it's not telling that since voting has not started, they can send that notification to you so that you can update it from a no to a yes, since they've already confirmed from the chapter that it's now a yes, since voting. That is the question asking.
So,
but I think that can only be possible.
Yeah, I get you clearly. What that will be doing to us and the back end team is bad, because if I get another person that says, oh, have updated their financial status, so are now eligible to vote, there's a deadline which we place.
It's a deadline. Yes, I agree with that.
For that list to be sent to us. Once we meet up with that deadline, I think we should just go ahead, because definitely I'm sure there's a whole that has made that payment that are now eligible. I don't want to stress my tech, because they've not been sleeping day and night to ensure that smooth sail on this virtual election. Knowing fully well, the election starts in some couple of 2 hours.
So my question and contribution was along these lines, because there has to be a deadline for when the voters list is ready. If someone comes at 8 a.m. tomorrow and pays the AGM, does that then make the person eligible? Because the back end team will then have to go and start doing a back and forth to say, no, okay, this person is eligible now. I believe that.
That is why I said that there's a time frame to submit that list. Once you submit that time frame, then even if person 2 hours to election time or to the end of the election time, it's not valid. If we're going to take it back to the last election held in Nigeria, are we now saying that at the day of the election someone gets a PVC, that person cannot vote because that particular wouldn't have been verified, because your name will be to show that yes, you can actually cast your vote, and you even cast your vote be double verified, so that can't work.
Okay, Raymond, with the way it stands, what is the deadline?
I hope that's clear enough to everyone.
Yes.
Any other question?
Can we have the deadline? What time? What is the deadline?
Good
Or
evening.
have we reached the deadline already? Hello. Hello. Hello.
Rolly, go ahead. They can hear you. Just state what
You
you
didn't
have to
respond.
say.
My own question
Okay.
again is, what is the deadline? Or rather, when is the deadline?
Deadline was this afternoon now. It was in the national net group.
Okay, no trouble. Thanks so much.
Any other question from anyone? Any other question? Otherwise,
Hello, sorry, can I ask a question? Sorry, can I ask a question?
Before you ask your question, I just want to say this. Raymond, after this
I really want to take more questions in regard this virtual, so that we get it straight and nobody feels checked.
Okay. I believe someone wants to ask a question, but let us follow this simple rule. After you ask your question, the vice president, who is the chairman, Central Organizing Committee, will just give us, after you ask your question to round up this section, will just give us a brief about what we expect tomorrow. So you can just read the highlights of the programs of event for tomorrow. You can just read it to us. Then if who is working at the back end can just do us a favor by displaying the event schedule for tomorrow. Thank you. Back to you, Raymond.
Hello, can I ask a question? Hello? Hello?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. The list of eligible voters, can it be made available to all chapters? So we go through it. Then apart from that, the deadline for the payment of the AGM, like for those of us in UNI-THSOSA or UNI-THSOSA chapters, because most of us are lagging behind. And with the response I got today, I made some calls around. You were saying, since the money is not in their account, is there any chance for them to make payments tomorrow, latest by tomorrow?
Let me answer your question from I can only speak for the AGM dues because it's not an electoral matter. For the AGM dues, payments still continue till the 15th. But that does not mean that when you pay 15th, if you pay a minute to the election time, you'll be able to vote. The only thing that people can participate as regards dues and chapter dues in respect to chapter and AGM due is the election. If you are not qualified in any of those two categories, you can't vote. But as far as we are concerned, as we are talking, people can make payments, and tomorrow people can make payments. On the 15th, including the people can still make payment. The payment is ongoing for the registration for the AGM.
Okay, what about the eligible list? Can it be made available to all chapters by maybe this evening or tomorrow, so that
Raymond, your call, please.
Can you hear me?
Can I make a comment on the UNI-THSOSA aspect?
Go ahead, Tubo, so that we don't have a lag.
Okay, here a lot of complaints. Like I said earlier, we have this issue of them not meeting up. Every one of them in the chapters were informed of the ongoings way in time, in good time. So they shouldn't come forth here to start bringing up late excuses. Those who would meet up should have met up by now. I just want to mention that.
But sir, most of us we do like, especially in
I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, but let's not argue this here. We know how we talk. We know how we communicate. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Raymond, you have the floor. I think you are still around. So, Tobo, I think back to you. If Raymond is not responding, then you can take over.
Hello.
And tell us what we have tomorrow. Tobo,
You're breaking. I can't
Raymond,
hear you clearly.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me, Mr. Raymond?
Yeah, I can hear better now.
Yeah. I think Isaac, his last question was, can the voter register be made available?
I didn't get the last question.
Can I ask the question again?
Yes, please.
Okay, I said the.
Or you can
address. The voter register can be made available after.
You're breaking. Can you please type it? Type it on the chat forum.
Okay, I've already typed it already. So can you just go through the chat and you see that? It's already in the chat.
Please, Tobo, can you carry on? Then when Raymond comes, he can answer whatever question you need to do so that we don't waste unnecessary time. Just tell us what we have tomorrow. Yes.
Okay, thank you everyone for how far we've come today. I think with all the challenges we've had with network and all, we could still say today came out a successful day with all the programs held. For tomorrow, the 14th of November, I will be starting by 10 a.m. 10 a.m. we'll have the preambles, where we'll have the COC chairman and secretary anchor the program. By 2 p.m. we'll have another session, and we'll have our keynote speaker talking about the power of cooperation. By 3 p.m. to 3:30, we'll have the plenary session. To 3:50, sorry, we'll have the plenary session and discussion about our association. And then by 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., we'll have the THSOSA Business Roundtable discussion. Then we have Mrs. Ekugo as our guest speaker, and we'll have a load of panelists, interesting panelists there. By 8 p.m., we'll have the swearing ceremony for the THSOSA National Executive Committee. And that's the rundown of the program for tomorrow. And I hope to see everyone online who was here today and more. Thank you and God bless you. Over to Sir Raymond if you're there.
Yes, thank you. So like I said, for the last question which was asked, The list has been made available to all chapter presidents. If you get that, and let's all go in and cast our votes from the set time of 11:50. A good night rest and a lovely weekend ahead, while we look forward to the next program for tomorrow.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a blessed good night.
You guys.
Take it easy.
Good night.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Nice
Thank you all. It was a great time with you all. Good night.
Good night. Good night. Bye-bye. Let me leave.